Hey guitar players, and welcome back to the Guitar in a Year Beginner to Intermediate. I'm your instructor Korey Hicks, and today we are on week number 29. We're going to be taking a look at the next couple of pages in Bill Levitt's Modern Method for Guitar. We're going to be doing pages 6 and 7 today, which is the duet that you heard me playing at the beginning of this lesson. I'm going to walk you through a lot of the different parts of it, and then I'm going to suggest that you record both parts yourself and then combine them together into one video, just like you saw me do. Now, you will need to record both these sections to a metronome, so whatever metronome setting you pick, you have to keep it for both parts, obviously, or one's going to be faster than the other. All right, let's take a look. We're starting off at the top of page 6. And a lot of these structures we've already talked about, so this should go fairly quickly. Starting with measure 1, we have a first inversion C major chord, followed by a root position F major, then a first inversion C major, and then we have a G7. Now you'll notice that I haven't been calling the G7 any sort of inversion. It's actually a drop 2 in third inversion. We haven't talked about that, so don't worry about it at all. I'm just going to call it G7. Third measure, we're going back to a C major in first inversion, followed by a C major in root position. So, like anything else, use the gatekeeper method and start to chunk the information. And I would probably say 4 measures at a time is about good enough to start the chunking process. All right, let's move on to the second system, which is starting on measure 5. We have again a F major chord, but this time it's in second inversion. Remember, that means the 5th is in the bass, so C, F, A. And then we have that G chord in second inversion with the D in the bass, D, G, B. Another G7. And then we're going to play a brand new chord. This is a G7 sus. So this is a sus 4 chord with a dominant 7th. There's a lot of different ways to think about it. So basically, we're taking the 4th tone of a G Mixolydian scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is going to be our note C, and replacing its 3rd, which is B, in there. Now, if this is all complicated, then you probably need my music theory course. We have a bunch of different music theory courses going on right now. One for entry-level basic music theory, going all the way through major scales and diatonic modes, that type of thing. And then we have a Music Theory 2 course, which is going to be going into melodic minor, harmonic minor. You may not need that one just yet, but just know that we're going to go all the way through reharmonization and into chordal harmony, all the way into 12-tone row. So there's plenty of things to learn. So head on over to Patreon if you're interested in that course. All right, so we have this G7 sus, and this is in measure 7. Measure 8 is going to be C major first inversion. Moving on to the next system, measure 9, we're going to be again playing a C major in first inversion, F in root, C major in first, G7, C major in first. A lot of this is repeating. And then we have a C major in root position. Fourth system, way at the bottom, we have F major in second. Again, G major in second, G7. There's that G7 sus again. Now, the very last measure of this page, we do have to play a chord and 3 quarter notes. So it's chord as a quarter note and then 3 notes. So it sounds like this. This is definitely a measure that I would suggest running again and again and again. So what I like to do is loop it like it's the only measure in the song, like this. And that helps me to get a feel for that particular measure. Next, we're moving on to the top of page 7. Now we start with guitar 1 playing some single notes. So I have F to A, and doing this little staggered thing. So I have F for 1 beat, A for 2 beats, F for 1 beat, E, G, E, D, F, A, B. So just like anything else that we haven't seen before, we're going to spend some time looping the information. So let's just do the top 2 measures of page 7. And I'm going to put on a metronome We're going to do it at 65 beats per minute, and let's see how this sounds. 2, 3, 4. Notice I started over. So at this point, you're probably realizing that 2 pages like this could take you quite a while to practice. And I would probably suggest spending 10 to 15 minutes a day just on these 2 pages for probably the majority of a week to get through them. So it does take a little bit of time. Let's continue on with the third measure at the top of page 7. Now we just have a series of quarter notes: D, F, A, B, C, B, A, G. Again, we could loop that. Second system on this page, we're doing some dyads. That means they are 2-note kind of implications of chords. They're kind of hinting at a chord without being the full thing. The first one is kind of an F chord. We're playing the A and the C. Then we get the G and the B, which is kind of hinting at a G major chord. And then the F and the A is obviously hinting at an F major chord. Back to the G and B, our familiar G7 shape. Third system, now we're back to what we know. C major in first inversion, F major root, C major in first, there's our G7, stopping at the C major in first, and then the end of that measure, we have a C major in root position. Last system, we have F in second inversion, again, G in second, G7, our G7 sus that we learned today, ending on C in first inversion. All right, so that is the whole first guitar part. Let's try playing that from the very top at 65 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now I don't want you to get discouraged if you can't play this well right away. It does take a while. So this is one of the reasons why it's good to introduce the sight reading thing not at the beginning of our playing journey, but certainly not after we get into a band or start developing ourselves to a really high level, because this can be really destructive to people's self-worth as a musician. It is kind of like the great equalizer. How do you get a guitar player to turn down? Put sheet music in front of them. It's one of the oldest jokes in the book that has to do with playing guitar and reading music. Well, let's move on to guitar 2. So taking a look at the second guitar part, we have a bunch of quarter notes in a sequence that's fairly easy to hear. Descending, right? But watch what happens here at the second system of guitar 2. Very reminiscent of the first guitar part that you already learned at the top of page 7. So it is something that is going to be familiar to you, just a slightly different order of the notes. Another descending line. Now we're going to go to the fourth system. It repeats. It's almost like its own little mini piece right there. At the top of page 7, we go into a dyad section for the second guitar. We have an A and a C, which is hinting at an F chord. Then we have the G and B hinting at the G chord. Then we have our F and A hinting at the F, and then the E and G hinting at the C. And then we have the exact same part as the top of guitar 1 right there. The only thing that's different is at the end of the second system, so the 8th measure on page 7 for guitar 2, we have just a repeated B note there. Otherwise, it's very similar to the top of the first system for guitar 1. And then we have another descending line. So this is not a very difficult thing to play. You just have to have a very high concentration while you're doing it. So let's try part 2, 65 beats per minute with the metronome, and then we'll talk about everything after we're done. 1, 2, 3, 4. well, that is C to C. So I want you to work on that this week. We're not going to have any sight reading on the proficiency exam because it's a brand new topic, but I do want you to try and work this up so that it could be a piece that you have, so that you can sight read through the entire thing. It may take a couple of weeks before you gain some real facility with it, but it is definitely worth it. Most of my students who go through these books have a hard time in the beginning, and then somewhere around page 60, things start to change. Then you start getting into all of the different movable patterns on the guitar. You can start sight reading everything that you've ever wanted to, everything from classical etudes to Christmas songs. And it becomes a wonderful skill that not only implants all of the structures of the neck into your brain and your mind's ear so that you can find things quickly. There's a reason that people say that learning how to read music is super important. It's not just so that you can have something to practice. All right, well, if you have any questions on anything we talked about today, go ahead and put them in the comments below or head on over to Patreon and you can let me know over there. And if you have not subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and share this with your friends and family, people that might be learning how to play guitar. All right, well, I look forward to seeing you next week for that proficiency exam, and I hope you have a great week. Peace.